Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrutyam Naran Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudhiraye Nashtaprayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 9 and Text 3. Nataha param parama yat bhavataha swarupam anandamatram avikalpam aviddhavarchaha pashyami vishvasujam ekam avishvam atman bhutendriya atmakamadha ta upashritaha asmi natah param paramayad bhavata swarupam anandamatram avikalpam aviddhavarchaha pashyami vishvasujamekam avishvamatman bhutendriyatmakamadhasta upashritosmi. Natha param paramayad bhavata swarupam anandamatram avikalpam aviddhavarchaha pashyami vishvasudamekam avishvamatman bhutendriyatmakamadhasta upashritomi. Avishvamatman. Now, do not atah param, hereafter, parama, O Supreme, yet that which, bhavataha, of your Lordship, swarupam, eternal form, anandamatram, impersonal Brahman effulgence, avikalpam, without changes, aviddhavarchaha, without deterioration of potency, pashyami, do I see, vishvasudham, creator of the cosmic manifestation, ekam, one without a second, avishvam, and yet not of matter, atman, O supreme cause, bhuta, body, indriya, senses, atmaka, On such identification, madaha, pride, te unto you upashritaha, surrendered, asmi, I am. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Translation: O my Lord, I do not see a form superior to your present form of eternal bliss and knowledge. In your impersonal Brahman effulgence in the spiritual sky, there is no occasional change and no deterioration of internal potency. I surrender unto you because, whereas I am proud of my material body and senses, your Lordship is the cause of the cosmic manifestation, and yet you are untouched by matter. Please repeat, O my Lord, I do not see any form superior to your present form of eternal bliss and knowledge. In your impersonal Brahman effulgence in the spiritual sky, there is no occasional change and no deterioration of internal potency. I surrender unto you because, whereas I am proud of my material body and senses, your Lordship is the cause of the cosmic manifestation, and yet you are untouched by matter. Purport by Srila Prabhupada, as stated by Bhagavad Gita, Bhaktyamam abhijanati evan yaschasmi tattvataha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead can only be partially known and only by the process of devotional service to the Lord. Lord Brahma became aware that the Supreme Lord Krishna has many eternal blissful forms of knowledge. He has described such expansions of the Supreme Lord Govinda in the Brahma Samhita as follows: Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Anantarupam Adhyam Purana Purusham Navayavvanam Cha Vedeshu Dhurlabam Adhurlabam Atma Bhaktau Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is non-dual and infallible. He is the original cause of all causes, even though he expands in many forms. Although he is the oldest personality, he is ever youthful, unaffected by old age. The Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot be known by the academic wisdom of the Vedas. One has to approach the devotee of the Lord to understand him. The only way to understand the Lord as he is by devotional service to the Lord and by approaching the devotee of the Lord who always has the Lord in his heart. By devotional perfection, one can understand that the impersonal Brahmajyoti is only a partial representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, and that the three Purusha expansions in the material creation are his plenary portions. In the spiritual sky of the Brahmajyoti, there is no change of various kalpas or millenniums, and there are no creative activities in the Vaikuntha worlds. The influence of time is conspicuous by its absence. The rays of the transcendental body of the Lord, the unlimited Brahmajyoti, are undeterred by the influence of material energy. In the material world also, the initial creator is the Lord himself. He brings about the creation of Brahma, who becomes the subsequent creator empowered by the Lord. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnan Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Ena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. So Lord Brahma's prayers to the Supreme Lord. And here his realization about the form of the Lord is explained. Param Parama Yad Bhavata Swarupam. Now he says, I do not see a form superior to your present form. Is so eternal present form of eternal bliss and knowledge. So this is the topmost realization of the supreme absolute truth. Lord Brahma has attained that topmost realization as soon as he had darshan of the Lord, and here he is concluding, I do not see any form superior to your present form. Bhavata Swarupam na param parama. I do not see any other form which is more beautiful or more opulent than your present form that is been given darshan. So this is the realization after darshan of the Lord. So real darshan means one understands that this is the supermost eternal form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And there is no other form superior in this world. Actually, the creation has not yet begun. Brahma was just born, and he is the one who is actually supposed to give all the forms. But he understood that he will not be able to imitate the form that is shown by the Supreme Lord. And so immediately he realized that yes, this is the supermost form that I am seeing. Parama Yad Bhavata Swarupam. So this understanding of Krishna's form, this is the highest perfection. Always thinking in terms of Krishna's form and in relation to that Krishna's form, that is devotional life. Devotional life should be contemplated in terms of rasa, relationship with that supreme form of the Supreme Lord. So not only he saw the Swarupam, he also saw Ananda Matram Avikalpam Aviruddha Varchaha. Varchaha. There is an effulgence that is coming from that form, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and then it is Ananda Matram. It is actually, there is Ananda in that also, in the Brahmajyoti. This Ananda is compared to the Ananda of somebody just coming out of the jail. You see, sometimes politicians will be stepping out of the jail and there will be a photograph and everybody is, their followers are all celebrating tapas and all that. What is that Ananda? That is the that is the Ananda in the Brahmajyoti. You just came out of the prison of this material world. The influence of the three modes is always pinching. It is like somebody is pinching you always. This is the experience within the material world. Expecting any happiness in this material world is madness. So some intelligent people, they realize this, that if I chase these sense objects, chase all the items of this world for enjoyment, it is not going to satisfy me. There are some intelligent people who come to this conclusion, because any endeavor of enjoyment, they see ultimately it is coming back as a suffering. So they think that yes, there is nothing in this world, so I should get out of all these attractions of this material world. But the process that they adopt is not proper. So that's why they are known as jnanis. By their own intellectual exercises, their mental imaginations, they come to the conclusion that there must be something steady and there must be something avikalpam, without any changes. We want to focus on something that remains unchanging, because here everything is changed. You can't hold on to anything. Let us say you want to hold on to somebody for your steadiness. You want to be steady in your life. You want to hold on to somebody. He is my friend, he is so and so, will help me anytime on this one. But he is also not existing. Everything is changed. Let us say you want to hold on to your mobile. After few years, the mobile company will say we are not supporting. That I remember we learnt one language so deeply, we are so much dependent. One fine day, those whatever that vendor is, he said, "Now we are not supporting this anymore." Changed. World has completely changed. So in this ever-changing environment, they are looking for what is that which will not change, so that we can take shelter of that. And by their experience, exercise of their minds, they'll come to the conclusion that yes, there must be some power. Behind all this, there must be some power, and that power is avikalpam avidhavarcha, without any deterioration and without any change. But that varcha is Brahma is now able to see that it is only coming from your form. But that understanding they don't have. They see Brahmajyoti, but because they don't see that the Brahmajyoti is coming from Krishna's body, their understanding is partial. Their knowledge is not complete. Although they may go up to the Brahmajyoti also, they may get Brahman realization, because they have not realized that it is coming from Krishna, their realization is not complete, their intelligence is not fully purified, they again come back. Again they come back to this world of relationships, because they are not able to get eternal relationships. And why they are not able to get eternal relationship? Because they are not recognizing Bhavata Swarupam. If Krishna's body is realized, then they want to interact with that form. They want to have relationship. Who wants to have relationship with a light? It's not possible. Now there is a sunlight is coming. Now you want to relate. You want to give some food, and you want to take some food back. Relationship means give and take. That's when love comes. Nectar of Instruction describes that there are 6 types of interactions between the devotees to enhance the loving exchanges centered around Krishna. So this is known about this Brahmajyoti, and it is known to Gopis in Vrindavan. So I was reading the other day, these elderly Gopis who are in the neighborhood of Krishna's house, they're kind of pained by Krishna Balram coming to their houses and stealing butter. So, in order to enjoy further transcendental bliss, all these Gopis, they all got together, they all assembled and went to Mother Yashoda to lodge complaints against the restless boys. Already they are very happy. Krishna Balram so beautiful, they are coming to their houses, they are taking butter and all that, they are already very happy. But to enhance the bliss, they decided to complain. Then, when Krishna was sitting before Mother Yashoda, all the elderly Gopis began to lodge complaints against him so that Krishna could hear. So they timed it in such a way, Krishna is already there and Yashoda is there, and all the Gopis they came, and while they are lodging complaints, they are looking at Krishna's face, how he will respond, how he will, that is their enjoyment. So they said, "Dear Yashoda, why don't you restrict your naughty Krishna? He comes to our houses along with Balaram every morning and evening, and before the milking of the cows, they let loose the cows, and the cows drink all the milk of the cows." This is the first naughty behavior. They first release the cows. So when we go to milk the cows, we find no milk, and we have to return with empty pots. If we warn Krishna and Balaram about doing this, they simply smile charmingly. and we cannot do anything. Once Krishna and Balaram charmingly smiles. Also, your Krishna and Balaram find great pleasure in stealing our stock of yogurt and butter from wherever we keep it. They may hide anywhere in the house. Krishna and Balaram, they'll figure out. Hmm? So when Krishna and Balaram were caught stealing the yogurt and butter, they say, "Why do you charge us with stealing? Do you think that butter and yogurt are in scarcity in our house?" They logically question, we belong to Nanda Maharaj's house. So sometimes they steal butter and yogurt and milk and distribute them to the monkeys. When the monkeys are well fed, do not take any more, then your boys will chide. This milk and butter and yogurt are useless. Even the monkeys won't take it. After they fully fed, obviously they will not take. And they break the parts and throw them hither and thither. If we keep our stock of yogurt, butter, and milk in a solitary dark place, your Krishna and Balaram find it in the darkness by the glaring effulgence of the ornaments and the jewels on their bodies. If by chance they cannot find the hidden butter and yogurt, let us say they could not find anything, what will they do? They go to our little babies and pinch their bodies so that they cry and then they go away. They pinch and go away. If we keep our stock and butter, yogurt high on the ceiling, hanging on a swing, although it is beyond their reach, they arrange to reach it by piling all kinds of wooden crates over the grinding machine, and if they cannot reach, they make a hole in the pot. We think therefore that you better take all the jeweled ornaments from the bodies of your children. This is what initially they say. So immediately on hearing this, Yashoda would say, "All right, I will take all the jewels from Krishna so that he cannot see the butter hidden in the darkness." Then the Gopis would say, "No, no, 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 don't do this. What good will you do by taking away the jewels? We do not know what kind of boys these are, but even without ornament, they spread some kind of effulgence, so that even in the darkness, they can see everything." Now, Gopis are highly educated, they're full of knowledge. They're saying, "No, no, no, even if you remove the jewels, there is no use because they spread some kind of an effulgence, so they can see everything." Then Mother Yashoda would inform them, "All right, keep your butter and yogurt carefully so that they may not reach it." In reply to this, the Gopis said, "Yes, actually we do so, but because we are sometimes engaged in our household duties, these naughty boys enter into our house somehow or other and spoil everything. Sometimes, being unable to steal our butter and yogurt out of anger, they pass urine on the clean floor and sometimes spit on it. Just see your boy now. He is hearing this complaint. All day they simply make arrangements to steal our butter and yogurt, and now they are sitting just like very silent good boys. Just see his face." Krishna is sitting very innocently as if he has not done anything. So if you see the entire Gopis complaint and the description, they just want to see Krishna's face and they are complaining, how he will, show his emotion. They are not talking about impersonal effulgence. They are not requesting Yashoda, "We want to merge into this effulgence. This is something very nice." Nobody is talking about this. That impersonal effulgence, if it is enhancing the pastimes of Krishna, then they are interested to mention about it. Otherwise, they are not attracted by that enjoyment, being in the effulgence of the Lord. They are not attracted. They are attracted by interacting with Bhavata Swarupam, interacting with that wonderful baby form of Krishna. So that is. They are already enjoying the naughty activities of their lordships, but they are want to enhance it further. They want to directly give a complaint on Krishna. So this is the Gopis' super excellent realization of the Supreme Lord. They treat Krishna as their own child or as their paramour in varieties of ways. The Gopis of Vrindavan, based on their age and relation, they interact with that Bhavata Swarupam, Krishna's form. So that's why Prabhupada is saying here, the only way to understand the Lord as He is by devotional service, or by approaching the devotee of the Lord who always has the Lord in his heart. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that the only way we can understand Krishna is by going through the Gopis. Ramya Kachid Upasana. The way the Gopis worship Krishna, that is the super excellent worship. And if somebody wants to understand Radha Krishna in Vrindavan, one has to approach through the way the Gopis have worshipped Krishna. Otherwise it is not possible. So, if somebody wants to develop his attachment to Krishna, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's path one has to take. One has to approach and take shelter of a spiritual master who is coming in this line. By taking shelter of Srila Prabhupada, one can easily understand what is this Brahmajyoti and what are these Vishnu forms in these verses are describing. It is not easy to realize that there are 3 Vishnu forms who are responsible for the creation of this world. Not easy. They don't understand who is Vishnu, who is Krishna. This subtle variegatedness in the supreme absolute truth is very difficult to comprehend for a common man. We are so easily able to understand because the clarity is emerging in the purports of the spiritual master. If the purports are not there, to really figure out how these Vishnu forms are connected to Lord Krishna and how they are also involved in the creation, it's all very difficult. That's why Prabhupada is quoting here, Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Anantarupam. This idea that the Supreme Lord has Anantarupas, He Himself has innumerable forms, and they are all Advaitam, they are all one. Just to realize this, it takes so much time. They are all one, but at the same time, they also exhibit some differences. Their moods are different, the way they reciprocate is different, Rasabheda is there. But Kalevara is one, body is one, but Rasabheda, relationship, the way they relate with the devotees, that is different. So that's why here it is said that academic wisdom of the Vedas, scholarly wisdom of the Vedas, that is not sufficient. One has to surrender to Atma Bhakto, one who is completely devoted to Lord Krishna. By hearing from such a devotee, one can appreciate these beautiful pastimes. They see that Brahmajyoti only a little partial representation of that Ananda. It doesn't have the full Ananda. Gopis are relishing the relation with Krishna as a motherly, as their mothers. They're happy that Krishna is coming to their houses and they're enhancing that enjoyment. And in that, a little bit of mention of impersonal, Brahmajyoti is there. So this is the place for the impersonal Brahmajyoti and their Ananda. Other than that, you don't see Gopis recommending or setting up some matas and whole life figuring out how to reach that Jyoti and criticizing Krishna's form. This is Mayavada. Mayavadis, Krishna aparadis. They offend Krishna because they offend Krishna's form. They think that Bhavata Swarupam is also a material form, one of the forms that we see. But for Brahma, it is very clear that it is not one of the forms of this world. Why? Because Brahma himself is not yet given any forms to anybody in this universe. He is actually praying to Vishnu that please give me, empower me with the creative energy so that I can create all these wonderful species, 84 lakh species in this universe, and place the living entities and distribute them across the universe. This is what Brahma is requesting. He is feeling insufficiency, powerlessness, and he is praying to Krishna to give that energy. So he knows that there are no material forms yet. He is the first being with a material body. And he is saying, I am very proud of my material body and senses. This is one biggest, what to say, the ego of the living entity is that they always feel that their body is very special. They feel that their body and the way they build their bodies, that means the senses, they take pride. The body and the senses gives rise to a false pride in the living entities. And so here Brahma is saying, yes, although I am very proud about my body and the senses, but I know that your form is the origin for this material manifestation, not my form. He is accepting that I am only a secondary creator. You created me, you created all these ingredients. Now I have to mix all those things and then do a subsequent creation, secondary creation. That's called Visarga. Sarga is done by Krishna, Visarga is done by Brahma. Brahma is a secondary creator, Shiva is a secondary destroyer. The primary destroyer is the Sankarshan, Ananta, and similarly, of course, he himself is the maintainer. So this is how the worldly functions are directly under the will of the Supreme Lord, and Brahma is recognizing all those. Any questions? Yeah. The Brahmajyoti, the influence of time and the influence of the material modes is not present. So still how those living entities come back here. Time actually inspires activity. There is an activity. For example, Gopis are coming, Yashoda is there, Krishna is present, and there is a complaint. There is a sequencing. Right? First step, second step, there is a sequence. Generally here the sequencing is controlled by time. Similarly in the spiritual world also, Prabhupada is saying the time that we see here, it doesn't exist there. It is present, but its effects are not present. It actually enhances the relationships. What are the time's effects? Very destructive effects here. Kalosmi lokakshayakrut. Here the time increases the entropy, increases the destruction. Everything becomes disorganized over a period of time. That's why you need a lot of endeavor to put things in place. That is the material modes. We have to take shelter of one of the modes called maintenance and go on putting your energy in that direction so that the destructive influence of the time is not there. That could be on any manifestation, and that could be on any community, anything. Power, very powerful time is. So these things are missing in the Brahmajyoti. The influence of time is not. It's like almost time has become zero. And then modes are also not there. So since there is no activity, the living entities gets bored. Prabhupada gives a very practical example. Let us say in a room, you are there alone, and then only light. Hours together you are in the light, and only you are there. You will get bored. You at least want your mobile. Why? So that you can interact with one more person. There is a message came from so and so. some post is been posted by so and so. See, interactions with the people, that's what actually gives us the actual pleasure, not with the light and these objects and all that. You may increase these objects, innumerable objects in our houses, in our societies, so many manifestations we can do, but still we cannot enjoy. The real enjoyment is with one more personality. These objects should enhance the relationship. So anyway, in this world, those objects are given to us by the material modes, and that is not there in the impersonal Brahmajyoti. So you will not be able to create anything there, and there is no creative faculty there. In Vaikuntha also there is no creative energy, in the sense there is nothing to create. Already everything is eternally existing, all very gettedness. So that is not there, and then time is not there. There is a sequencing and there is a nice interaction, that is also not. Very, actually speaking, very dull. A devotee will not want to stay there. They will not consider Sayudhya Mukti as something good. In fact, they think it is hellish. How can you go and sit alone there? So ultimately, the living entity will again come back here. At least some activity is there. They can come back here. And it is said that they will become very powerful politicians, powerful philanthropists. All these Mayavadis, if they get into politics, they become very big. They become very big, and then they wield a lot of power and all that. But then they won't get Krishna. Unless they become a devotee. Surrender. Here he is saying, Pranatosmi. That word has to come from the heart. My Lord, I surrender unto you. That word has to come. If that is not there, then they'll go on like that. They want to serve everybody and all that. Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
హరే కృష్ణ గోల్డెన్ టెంపుల్ వారి మరో అపురూప కానుక హరే కృష్ణ వాణి ఆధ్యాత్మిక మాసపత్రిక. ఇప్పుడు మొబైల్ యాప్ ద్వారా కూడా సులభంగా పత్రికలు చదువుకునే సౌకర్యం, వార్షిక సభ్యత్వం, భగవద్గీత, భాగవత ప్రవచనాలు, స్ఫూర్తి సందేశాలు, ఇంకా మరెన్నో సదుపాయాలతో హరే కృష్ణ వాణి మొబైల్ యాప్ నేడే డౌన్లోడ్ చేసుకోండి. మరిన్ని వివరాల కోసం కాల్ చేయండి 9133107700. హరే కృష్ణ గోల్డెన్ టెంపుల్ వారి మరో అపురూప కానుక హరే కృష్ణ వాణి ఆధ్యాత్మిక మాసపత్రిక. ఇప్పుడు మొబైల్ యాప్ ద్వారా కూడా సులభంగా పత్రికలు చదువుకునే సౌకర్యం, వార్షిక సభ్యత్వం, భగవద్గీత, భాగవత ప్రవచనాలు, స్ఫూర్తి సందేశాలు, ఇంకా మరెన్నో సదుపాయాలతో హరే కృష్ణ వాణి మొబైల్ యాప్ నేడే డౌన్లోడ్ చేసుకోండి. మరిన్ని వివరాల కోసం కాల్ చేయండి 9133107700. హరే కృష్ణ గోల్డెన్ టెంపుల్ వారి మరో అపురూప కానుక హరే కృష్ణ వాణి ఆధ్యాత్మిక మాసపత్రిక. ఇప్పుడు మొబైల్ యాప్ ద్వారా కూడా సులభంగా పత్రికలు చదువుకునే సౌకర్యం,